This morning, I had a chance to relax a little, and I figured that by God's grace, I want to come with some power this evening. Amen? I want to make sure that by God's grace, the people of the UK get what they're coming for. And I know by God's grace, you're coming to get a blessing. Amen? And that's what I expect to deliver to God's children this evening. While I was home this morning just relaxing and mentally preparing myself, a friend decided to email me something that showed up in your newspaper. Do you guys want to see what showed up in your newspaper this morning? Who would like to see? And let me share something with you. It is so relevant to the topic that's being discussed. Because here's the good news. If you follow the information that we share with you, follow it step by step, by God's grace, we're not asking questions, but making statements. Listen to me. If you follow the information step by step by step, I assure you, by next Sabbath, we'll have all of you that are following it will come up here and testify by God's grace. Saints, listen to me. If I'm not sure, I'll tell you straight up, I don't know. I'm not afraid to tell you that I don't know. But when I know, I will speak with power. Am I making sense there? And I'm here to tell you that diabetes is 100% reversible. I've worked with so many people who are diabetic, I can't even begin to tell you how many individuals I've worked with. I've had individuals who are blind that came in blind, and by going on the program, some of them within a week, they began seeing. We have had individuals who have had foot on the verge of amputation, made some simple changes, the foot healed. I want to show you what that friend showed me. And I'll tell you the regret that you're going to have this evening. You're going to have a regret. And here's the regret. You didn't follow instructions. Here was the instructions. Each person bring 2 friends. Each person bring 2 family members. If you guys did that, do you guys want to know what you guys would have done to the people of the UK? Watch. I'm going to show you something. Friend sent me an email this morning. When the friend sent me the email, I began reading it, and let me tell you something. I couldn't wait for tonight to start. I got so excited, saints, I began jumping. I could not wait for tonight to come. That's okay. It's dancing a little. I don't know if you guys realize, when I went down there to plug it in, the whole thing just blew up. I said blessings, honor, and mercy and praise, but it didn't stop what was going to come to you guys tonight. And we're going to still come with everything. So let's go right here and pull up that message here, see if we can get it up on the screen here by God's grace. Let's see if I can get it up. Let's see. Let us see if we can get it up. It's up. You guys can see anything up there? Okay. That's okay. Okay. Listen what the email the friend sent me this morning. This is what it says. It says, Britain's diabetes epidemic is fueling a record 160 cut foot. Cut foot, cut hand, amputations a week. Figures reveal and rising obesity is behind the trend. You remember we talked about what caused diabetes? What do we say cause it? Fat in the diet and fat on the body. What does that translate to? Obesity, okay? So this is what they said, and this just came out today. It says Britain's diabetes epidemic is fueling a record 160 amputations a week. Figures reveal and rising obesity is behind the trend. Now, let's continue. 1 second. I understand, just when things are supposed to work right, everything is not working. So you guys just keep praying, and by God's grace, we're going to get this working here. Listen what it says here. Britain's diabetes epidemic is fueling an all-time high of 160 amputations a week, figures reveal. More than 8,500 procedures are carried out in England each year as a result. The equivalent of 23 amputations each day. So every single day, 23 individuals are losing their limbs. Every day, right here in Britain. It says, listen to this. This is amazing. It says 9 in 10 cases of the condition are type 2 diabetes. So our topic of discussion tonight is responsible for 90% of all amputations that are in the UK. Okay? And listen what it says here. Diabetes UK warned that soaring obesity rates are behind the trend, with 2 in 3 adults now overweight or obese. And let me share something. When I got to the bottom of this article, my heart just dropped because you're going to see what takes place. It also said amputations are often life-threatening, with up to 8 out of 10 diabetic patients dying within 5 years of surgery. So basically, here's what they're saying. Once an amputation takes place, normally within 5 years, they said 8 out of 10, that's 80% of diabetics, after a limb is amputated, normally within 5 years they die. This is your paper. Let me continue. Listen to this now. Yet, listen to this, yet 4 out of 5 amputations are preventable. What are they saying? 4 out of 5 are what? So basically, what they're basically, in summation, what that basically means, the amputations that they really may not have any control over are the ones with accidents, like car accidents and so forth, right? But technically speaking, all of the diabetes amputations, that's what that is saying, are 100% preventable. Are you with me so far? Listen again, let's continue. It revealed more than a third of people remain unaware of foot ulcers and a serious complication of the disease and the leading cause of limb loss. Foot ulcers and amputations burden the taxpayer with, let's see, that's euro or pound? With £1 in every 140 pounds of NHS spending in England going to foot care for diabetics. Diabetics UK has called for improved diabetes foot care. Dan Howard, head of care at the charity, said diabetes-related amputations devastate lives. Now watch this. When I read this one now, it actually blew my mind. And listen to what this guy says. Listen to what this guy says. Are you ready for this? He says, nothing can prepare you for it, says soon-to-be W amputee. So for individuals who are just nonchalant, like nothing is taking place, listen to what the gentleman said, who is about to lose his second limb. He says, nothing can prepare you for losing a limb. Nothing can prepare you. Ben Harris, 42, from Berkshire, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes when he was 18 and had his right leg amputated at age 36. After 3 years of the treatment for an ulcer that had formed on his big toe, he is also due to have his left leg amputated due to osteomyelitis and ulcers, and has also suffered sight loss due to diabetic retinopathy. Mr. Harris said, I was absolutely devastated when I was told my right leg had to amputate it below the knee. It was horrible. Nothing can prepare you for it. I cried and I was scared. I'm not going to deny it. There needs to be more information for young people with diabetes. about the risk of diabetes complication. I was never told about the importance of foot care or the very real possibility of amputations. Saints, this is real. This is serious. But yet still, some of you guys, you have been coming night after night after night. I have taken my time and explained this thing, and yet still, you're out there eating the meat kind. And it sits at the foundation of the disease. Guess what? You don't have to listen to me. But I tell you this, before the storm, God always sends a warning. If the warning is heeded, the life is preserved. If the warning is not, sudden destruction. Many times when we come to a church and we present, there are one or two that will heed the call. Many will not. But after we are gone, there come the calls. Saints, once we leave, we're too busy to get back. I'll tell you, after we leave, you guys going to like, hey, Brother Luke, can you help me now? Sorry, I already moved on. I'm in someplace else now. For a time, God put us here. And for that time, God gave you an opportunity for us to assist you. My recommendation that while we are here, heed the call, heed the warning. If you heed the warning, I assure you, by God's grace, you sit back and watch the glory of God. Are we making sense here, saints? Okay, let's continue here. Just wanted to show you what was actually in your paper. And I figured, you couldn't get it better from the source. This is not what they're saying in the Caribbean. This is what your personal paper is actually saying. So this is real statistics. Are we making sense so far, saints? Are we making sense so far? Okay, let's continue where we left off last night. One of the things that I find in actually teaching about diabetes is that diabetes actually speak. The question is, are you listening? Let me show you what I mean that it actually speaks. And the question is, there is something that's called acanthosis nigrans. How many guys ever heard of the term acanthosis nigrans? If you have, raise your hands for me, please. If you have, nobody's ever heard of acanthosis nigrans? Huh? Okay, well, if you have never heard of it, you have seen it. Have you ever seen individuals with this situation? Where maybe around their neck is black, under the armpit, their elbows, sides of their cheek, different areas, they have this dark spot. Have you guys ever seen it? Who have seen that? Raise your hand. Okay, let me share with you what that does. That sign comes 10 to 15 years before you're diagnosed. Any of you guys have a car? The car has a check engine light. When the check engine light comes on, can you still drive the car? But what does it say? Something is wrong. It says, hey, check engine. Why? Because something is wrong. It's a matter of time before the car breaks down. Am I making sense there? So acanthosis nigrans is a check engine light. Whenever you see that acanthosis nigrans, it says, hey, listen, something is wrong. That check engine light comes 10 to 15 years before you're diagnosed. If you make the changes, check engine light goes away. The darkness goes away. If you don't make the changes, guess what? it gets progressively worse. This is under the armpit of someone. This is their hand. See the texture? You look at the texture and the changes. I can look at individual skin, and you see that velvety skin, and I'll tell you right off the get-go, your texture has completely changed. You're at risk. I can even look at your toenails. Look at this. See those toenails? See how yellow they are? And I can tell ahead of time, as long as you haven't painted them, that is a check engine light. If you're not careful, it's on its way. You guys see what I'm talking about? Remember, as a child, I have a twin sister, by the way. I have a step-grandmother. I call her the evil grandmother from the north. And what she would do, she'd take a scrubbing brush. My sister is more lighter than I am. She's a much lighter complected individual. And my evil grandmother, she would just take a scrubbing brush, you look at skin dirty, and just scrub and scrub and scrub. You know what I mean? When I call my sister Red Chenky, you know what I mean? She's clear. And when she's done, you just see all the stripe. You guys know how, sometimes the young lady I'm talking about, she never had a child. So sometimes, this doesn't speak for everyone, but sometimes when individuals don't have kids of their own, sometimes they don't know how to thoroughly take care of kids because they have never experienced it. Okay? So she would take that scrubbing brush and try to scrub and scrub and scrub. And when she got done, my poor little sister neck would be all striped up with all the scrubbing brush. Back in the Caribbean, those scrubbing brush was pretty harsh. Okay? Well, another thing that can actually cause that is when kids have allergies, when they have not been breastfed properly or long enough. Okay? You'll find that kids will get those if they're also at risk for type 1 diabetes. Question for you. Can someone who do not eat flesh, no fish, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, shrimp, lobster, conch, crab, butter, eggs, ice cream, cheese, and animal milk be at risk for diabetes? The answer is yes. If they overconsume fats, like the oils and the nuts and the avocado and the coconut milk in this, coconut milk in that, coconut oil in that, cook a lick of rice, there's coconut milk. You stew some peas, there's coconut milk. Fat in the diet and fat on the body sits at the foundation of this disease. It causes things like blindness, nerve damage, kidney damage, heart attack, stroke. It causes, individuals not being able to properly serve their spouse. Hearing impairment, leg cramps, gangrene that can lead to foot and leg amputation. Let's do this. Let me ask a question. Sister Green, if I came to your home and water is coming out of the pipe and there's a stopper in the sink and the water is flowing out of the sink onto the ground, should I grab a mop and start mopping up, or what should I do in this order, saints? Unplug the sink? Okay. What else? Okay. Turn the top off. Anybody have a better suggestion? Turn the top off first. Okay. Unplug the sink. Come on, saints. Okay, identify the source. Saints, listen, I like what these two young ladies says. Go to the source. Turn off the pipe. Unplug the sink and mop it up. If that's clear, you guys say amen. So here's the deal. What is the cause of diabetes type 2? Fat in the diet and fat on the body. Okay? So let's turn off the faucet. Can you just turn the faucet off for me? If you have your hand, just do that so you can turn it off. Amen. You want to know what we just did? No fish, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, shrimp, lobster, conch, crab, butter, eggs, ice cream, cheese, and animal milk. All of that's gone. Someone said, Brother Luke, can I just take a little piece? No, it's still dripping. Am I making sense there? You got to turn the faucet off. Saints, listen to this. In order for you to get a different result, you have to do something different. You didn't come here to waste your time tonight. You came here because you want a blessing. And here's the situation. If you want a blessing, you got to do something different than what you have done before. Because if you keep on doing the same thing over and over, the result will be the same. Am I making sense here? So you have to do something different. In doing something different means the diet has to be changed. Can I get the flesh? Can I get the meat kind? Can I get it, saints? Amen. Okay, so we just turned off the faucet. So all flesh and their byproduct has to go. All flesh. Listen to this. Oils. I'd recommend hold tight on the oils in the cooking. You don't need to put oil in rice. Says, let me tell you something. I cook my rice and I don't put one drop of oil in my rice, and never does my rice stick. Okay? You don't need to put oil in your rice. As a matter of fact, if you want more detail, if I'm not mistaken, Elder, they're having a cooking school here, right? Is the cooking school still on, you guys? Okay? So here's the situation. They're having a cooking school here on Sunday. The cooking school is off. Okay, I was just double checking. Well, guess what? The ladies here knows how to cook. If you don't know what to do, you come Sunday and we're going to have some demonstration in terms of health information. And we'll teach you how to cook without food. Amen? We can teach you how to cook without food. No. You guys thought I made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. I meant I will teach you how to cook without literally having food. Remember I asked, is there a cooking school? And they said what? The cooking school is off. So guess what? I'm going to teach you how to cook without literal food. Amen? Amen? Okay. Listen good. Care should be taken, however, not to use too large a portion of nuts. Now, at times, individuals, mommy do say, oh my, just take all my nuts from me. Sometimes some of us want to catch two hands together to catch the nuts. Or you put the pan on the desk. Or some people, they just put it right between their legs and just eat right from it. Saints, you can't do that. Closed fist upside down. That for breakfast, that for lunch, none for supper. That's all you need. Amen? And that will be sufficient to go. Same on the coconut. Moderation in the coconut. Oh, by the way, diabetics, listen good. Diabetics don't drink juice. Okay? Remember this. Diabetics don't drink what? Juice. If you are a diabetic and you'd like some juice, listen to this. Reverse the diabetes first, and we celebrate with a glass of juice when you finish. But diabetics do not drink juice. You want to know why diabetics don't drink juice? Listen to this. I worked at a center called Wildwood Lifestyle Center and Hospital. And while I was there, they did an experiment. I should say they did the experiment before I got there. And what they found that 1 tablespoon of grape juice will raise the blood sugar by 10 points. 1 tablespoon of what? Grape juice will raise the blood sugar by what? 10 points. How many tablespoons are in a cup? 16. So there are 16 tablespoons in 8 ounces of grape juice. 8 ounces of grape juice, you have 16 tablespoons. So 16 tablespoons times 10 is 160. So you drink 1 glass of grape juice, it will raise your blood sugar by 160 points in addition to what the blood sugar was before. Diabetics don't drink smoothies. Now, saints, listen, when you try to live normal life, when we have an issue, you got to do something different. Let me share this with you. My uncle knew he had hypertension for years. But my uncle never had his blood sugar checked. One day he had his neighbor made him a smoothie. Shortly after, I got a phone call. James, come quickly. I showed up to my uncle's home, found him on the bed, on the ground, naked, and can barely move. I picked him up. In actuality, it was Sister Nash and I. We tried to pick him up, can't get him up. Wrap a sheet around him. He said, put me on the chair. I said, no way. Sister Nash, myself, the next door neighbor, grabbed him, put him in the vehicle, and we rushed him to the hospital. When they tried to check his blood sugar, didn't register. When they finally got it, it was 1,016. 2 days later, he was a dead man. Let me tell you guys something. Diabetics don't drink juice. Diabetics don't use smoothie. These things go straight to the bloodstream right away, send the blood sugar to the roof, and can put you in a diabetic crisis almost immediately. Are we making sense, dear saints? Saints, if you want to drink a smoothie, if you want to drink a juice, reverse the thing first, and we celebrate with a smoothie, and we celebrate with a glass of juice. But as for now, diabetics don't use these things. Diabetics don't use dry fruits or any form of sweeteners. I want to tell you the good news. It doesn't take long to reverse diabetes. So in a very short time, you'll be able to use all the things again, healthy things. But we're going to leave the meat kinds alone. I'm talking the fish, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, shrimp, lobster, conch, crab, butter, eggs, ice cream, cheese, and animal milk. Those we'll leave alone. Amen? But you'll be able to get a little juice. You'll be able to eat dry fruits. By the way, diabetics can eat all fruits. All fruits diabetics can eat. The best fruits for diabetics are mangoes and bananas. Mangoes and bananas. As a matter of fact, you know what's good about mangoes? Mangoes actually prevent night blindness. So diabetics do excellent in consuming mangoes. You guys are like looking at me as if you guys never knew that diabetics can eat fruits. Oh, I never, but let me tell you a story. A young lady, I think she was living in the UK, and she decided to come to the Caribbean where she hadn't been for years. She was a diabetic, and when she saw the mango, she come in mango season, she just put a bucket between her legs with some water and just sit down and feast on a whole bucket of mango. Since her blood sugar went straight up to the roof, she had a massive heart attack. She died. Now, because we said that diabetics can use mango, doesn't mean that a diabetic can put a bucket between their leg and just sit down and deal with the case. You understand what I'm talking? I'm talking moderation. We're talking temperance. I'm talking the diabetic can sit down and eat a few mangoes, and enjoy themselves. I have no problem with diabetics sitting down and eat mangoes, but I'll tell you the best way for a diabetic to eat the mango. Eat it solid. Don't eat it with the juice. You want to bite of the juice, just run down on the side. You guys know what I'm talking? Sometimes you have to lick your hand just to try and get some of the juice. Don't eat it like that, says. Amen? Eat it hard. Okay? Bananas. You can't eat the banana when it's soft. And so just eat it. You know what I mean? Where you guys know what I mean? Where it's overripe, you just eat it solid and you're fine. No problem at all. Diabetics can eat all fruits. There's only one fruit that I would show a little caution with, but I already took care of it when I said dry fruits. That one fruit is date. You know the dates that you guys have here? Diabetics can't use that one. But if you guys ever want to eat date as a diabetic, you come to Antigua, the land of sea and milk and honey. Amen? Where honey just drips from coconut trees. Amen? Saints, listen. The dates that grow wild in Antigua, diabetics can eat all that they want. Okay? Because they're not like the dates you find at the store. These are wild-crafted organic dates, just naturally occurring. Diabetics can eat that. Am I making sense there? Okay? So that one, as a diabetic, you sit back and watch the glory of God. Now, if a diabetic is following everything that we tell them, and they drop a few raisins in, I have no problem. Because if they, listen, I want to tell you guys something. When I work with diabetics, and I see that the diabetic is faithful. You understand what I mean, about faithful? A faithful diabetic is one that does this. I give them instruction. Sir, I want you to check in the morning, and I want you to check in at night. I need to know your blood sugar when you first wake up, and I need to know your blood sugar before you go to bed. If a diabetic is checking in the morning, in the night, they're doing their walking, they're drinking their water and doing everything, Man, and he said, Brother Luke, I want to drink a little juice. I said, go ahead now, elder. You understand what I'm saying? Because the person faithful. So if they go and drink a little juice, and I say, okay, now, elder, do me a favor, you enjoy the juice? He said, yes, Brother Luke. I said, go and do an hour walk now. Go and walk it off. Am I making sense there? So that person I give and take. But for them lazy diabetic, don't want to do nothing. Just sit down and eat and eat and eat. They can't drink no juice. Diabetics don't drink juice. You see the difference? If I'm with someone who is faithful, checking in, morning, night, doing what they're supposed to do, not a problem. Go ahead and enjoy. Take a little. Don't overdo. Just take a little extra. Okay? You're fine. For someone, they don't want to follow no instruction, I take no chances with them. Their problem. Real serious problem they are. Listen to this. People who eat white rice on a regular basis have a significantly increased risk of type 2 diabetes. That's Harvard School of Public Health. They found that in March 16, 2012. So guess what? Just eating white rice alone will raise your blood sugar and put you at risk for diabetes. So guess what? I don't recommend you consider eating white rice. White rice is not food. Bread. Diabetics don't eat bread. Why? One man, look, when Mr. Diabetics don't eat bread, Mr. Just see a man just hold his head so. He just hold his head. Look at this. What am I going to do? Listen to this. Did you know that 2 slices of whole wheat bread will raise the blood sugar higher than 2 tablespoons of sugar? I'll tell you guys a story. I was in Trinidad just the other day. We were right there in Sandy Grande, right next to the hospital in Sandy Grande. Amen. Okay, the young lady know what I'm talking about. And the head nurse came to the lecture that we were doing. And when we shared this information, she shook her head and she says, Brother Luke, I can't believe. I said, what do you mean by I can't believe? She says, just the other day, there's some patients sitting down, and we keep telling them, eat the whole wheat bread, eat the whole wheat bread. And every minute they said, nurse, guess what? Every time I'll eat the whole wheat bread, the sugar keep going up higher and higher. And you keep telling me, eat it. So we eating it, and so the sugar keep climbing. And they didn't understand. What happened is because of what they have done to the wheat, with the genetic engineering of the wheat. What they have done, they have changed the structure of the regular wheat, the modern day wheat. And as a result, eating the regular wheat on a consistent basis automatically causes you to become diabetic if you eat it. That's why I recommend that individuals, unless the bread specifically say, or unless the flour say it is non-GMO or organic, I don't use it. Using regular wheat flour will put you at risk for becoming a diabetic just by using that. 2 slices of whole wheat bread will raise your blood sugar higher than 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, let's have some fun. You guys remember our experiment we did the other night? Let's go. Where you guys sitting? Come on, saints. Where you guys sitting? Where am I standing? Outside the cell. What are the windows and doors called? Mercy. Oh, blessed be the name. Say, oh, saints, I come in here night after night after night and sit down and listen to everything. I can't answer the simple question. Okay, let's go over. The pancreas produces what? No, the pancreas produces what? Insulin. Insulin has what? 2 hands. One hand grabs the sugar. The other hand does what? Open the door, put the sugar in, closes the door. Well, not yet. What is the windows and doors called? Oh, mercy. Okay, saints. Oh, boy. Okay, give me a second. Let me just give you a quick revision. And then, because I'm about to show you how to open the door, because the door is sealed. You guys remember the door is sealed? Let's do this. This is your cell right here. Everybody's sitting where? In the cell. You guys are sitting where? In the cell. I am literally standing. Where am I standing? Come on, saints. Work with me. Where am I standing? I am actually outside the cell, but just imagine for now that I'm where? Inside. Are you with me so far? The windows and doors, they actually call insulin receptors, but we are going to call them doors. Is that clear? Okay, now, let's go. The pancreas produces what? Insulin. Insulin has what? 2 hands. One hand grabs the sugar, the other hand does what? Opens the door and put the sugar where? Into the cell. Are you with me so far? Let's go. The pancreas produces what? Insulin has what? 2 hands. One hand grabs the sugar, the other hand does what? Open the door, put the sugar where? Into the cell and closes the door back. Are we making sense so far, saints? We're making sense? Okay, great. You guys remember what we talked about now? The fat in the diet, the fish, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, shrimp, lobster, conch, crab, butter, eggs, ice cream, cheese, and animal milk. It comes up to the door, seal it, lock it, and throw away the key. So now the door is locked, the door is sealed. There's only one way to unseal the door. You guys want to know how you unseal the door? Watch this. Right there. Walk in. Once you start walking, saints, listen to this. Within 7 hours after you start walking, the fat begins to melt from around the door. 1 hour of continual walking is equal to what? 20 units of insulin. Saints, as soon as you start walking, guess what the body does? It burns 50% fat and 50% what? Sugar. So as soon as the fat start melting, here's what happened. Start melt from around the door. Pancreas produces what? Insulin. Insulin has what? 2 hands. One hand does what? Grabs the sugar. The other hand does what? Opens the door, put the sugar back in the cell. All of a sudden, the sugar start coming down. Am I making sense here? The sugar start coming down. How does the sugar come down? By walking. By walking. Now, saying, some of you may say, Brother Luke, I can't walk. Outside it's too cold. Not a problem. Mark time and place. All you got to do is just mark time and place. If you do that in place, 1 hour of continual walking is equal to 20 units of insulin. Just that. All you got to do is just stand in place and do that. And we get the result. We get the result. You have issues with the lower extremities? Hold on. Up on the tippy toes, back on the heel. Up on the tippy toes, back on the heel. Your hand, same thing. 400 to 500 times, or even 3 to 4. Any which way. Just do it like that. You do that, in no time, circulation is restored. Are we making sense so far? Yes, please. Yes, please. You don't have to do it all at once. You can mix it up. Now, let me share this with you. Saints, remember we talked about following instructions? Don't leave home without it. Saints, don't leave home without it. An orange, a fruit, whatever it is, something that if your blood sugar drop, you can eat it right away. Am I making sense to you? Once you start walking, this thing works fast. It works so fast that if you make the mistake and step out and your sugar drop on you, you will not make it home. I assure you. Saints, let me tell you something. I'm not asking. I'm telling you. The thing works fast. Listen to me. I have a gentleman who had 3 heart attacks, 3 strokes, blood sugar outrageous. His blood sugar, I need to just let him tell you how high his blood sugar has been. His blood pressure, 250 over 150, 180. Listen to me. The top number run up to like 250. The bottom number that should be less than 80 is running sometime 150, 160, 170, 200. You know, James, you don't hear me? I'm talking the bottom number. We put the man on the plan and says, just so the sugar come down, just so the blood pressure come down. Look, I tried to get him to come, but he wasn't able to come in the week. But he said, Brother Luke, tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'll be here. Let me ask you, how many of you would like to hear this man testify live? And the good news is, he lived right here in the UK. I never knew this man until I got here. So it's you guys, it's your brother-in. So you guys know him. Some of you guys knew him way behind. Okay? Put him on the plan, he followed the instructions. And I'm here to tell you, that testimony can be yours. Follow the instructions. Listen good. When a diabetic goes walking, they should take a whole fruit with them. If they experience any symptoms of low blood sugar, headache, trembling, lightheadedness, anxiety, nausea, any funny feeling, stop right there and eat the fruit. And I recommend you stop, time to go back home. All that medication you're on is too strong for your new lifestyle. Saints, listen to me. Think about it. With all the changes you have made, the thing is going to work so fast. I've had individuals, listen to this. I've had individuals that were on as much as 202 units of insulin, along with 2,000 milligrams of metformin, and the first day they make the change, they knock off 100 units of insulin the first day they change their diet. On the 5th day of the diet change, all the diabetic medication was gone. And listen to this. Some of them now walk one lick. One lick them now walk. All they did was change the diet. Now, since I don't recommend you do like those individuals, I recommend that you go all the way, lick the thing for 6. So in that way, you don't have to deal with it again. Am I making sense there? And you lose no limbs. Absolutely no limbs you lose. After you finish eat, what happens to blood sugar? Blood sugar rises. So guess what we do? We recommend that you go for a short walk. Not as brisk as the first one, just a short casual walk. And here's what it does. It puts a cap on how high that blood sugar level can go. Once it hits that cap, it turns around and it comes right back down. Saints, let me tell you something. It works amazingly. Am I making sense there? Here's what I recommend. I want you guys to start documenting. When you go back to your GP, GPs actually love when you give them detail. Because GPs don't trust you guys. You know why they don't trust you guys? Because you can't be trusted. Okay? And I'll be honest with you, because you guys never tell them everything that you're doing. So as a result, you always catch the GP off guard. I'll tell you what happened the other day. I have a friend who is a brain surgeon, and he was getting ready to perform surgery on this young man, and he checked his blood. Everything was fine. You know, did all the work just to make sure that the blood was the proper thickness and so forth, that when he begins to work with the blood and he decides to clot the blood a little, that he can do whatever he has to do, the gentleman doesn't bleed out. Day of surgery now, something impressed him. Just check the blood one more time again. When he checked the guy's blood this time before surgery, right before they go into surgery, the guy's blood was as thin as ever. He asked the gentleman, he says, "Sir, I thought I told you, don't do so and so and so." He says, "What have you been doing? What did you do?" The guy loaded up on a bunch of garlic, thinned his blood out so thin that if the GP had only cut him, he'd have bled out to death. Okay? So listen to me, saints. My recommendation, I recommend that you detail things. I believe in doing things in decency and in order. We're going to help you with the lifestyle. We're going to walk you through. We're going to educate you. We're going to give you all the tools for your success. All I'm recommending, when you go back, show your GP what you did. Do you know why I asked you to go back and show the GP? Because you know what this work is supposed to do, the medical missionary work? It's supposed to reform the medical industry. Do you understand what I mean by reform? If a GP realizes that for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you've been with them, and you just keep getting worse and worse and worse, and all of a sudden, you make some changes and you began getting better, most GPs will start looking at a different angle in terms of dealing with their patients. Am I making sense there? So, proper documentation, we will educate you, and always be positive. Don't try and embarrass the GPs or anything like that. Just try and work with them, because if you can help that GP, there are others who may not have access to the information that you have, but if you educate the GP well enough, that GP can then go on and share and help the others. Am I making sense? Is that clear? Amen. Let's take this home. Keep your teeth and entire body thoroughly clean to avoid infections. Ensure you have regular bowel movement. Avoid smoking. And we're going to get that weight down. Avoid stress and make sure that you have proper footwear. Listen, saints, a diabetic should never walk bare feet. A diabetic should never, ever walk bare feet, regardless if they're in the house or not. The only time a diabetic should not have a shoe on their foot is when they jump into bed. But as soon as they come out of bed, they should step right into a shoe. Step right on a slipper, always have something on the bottom of their feet. The reason being is because of sensation. They won't have as much sensation in their lower extremity. And that's why I mentioned to you, make sure you're doing the up on the tippy toes, back and the heel. Up on the tippy toes, back and the heel. And I also recommend that you take a B complex to give sensation to the nerve endings, that if anything do take place, you will fully be aware of what has taken place. Am I making sense there? And I recommend that you have someone do a foot inspection daily on you. Daily foot inspection. Now, if you don't have someone that can do that for you, just put a mirror on the ground, and you make sure you put your feet over that mirror and you inspect. You inspect as much as you can, because you want to make sure that you're doing proper foot care. And if you do like just a warm, listen good, not hot, but just barely warm water. And if you can put a little salt in it, that would work real nice too. And actually just use that to actually help clean the foot. And you do that on a daily basis. I'd recommend you consider doing that at night. And if you do that on a nightly basis, if there's any injury or damage to the foot, if you find there's calluses or bruises or anything, hardness, let's start looking at that right away. So in that way, it doesn't progress where you may end up having to lose that limb. Is that clear so far, saints? Okay? Diabetics need to go to bed before 10 p.m. at night. Here's what the research shows. Let's say you eat perfect. Your diet is perfect. You're doing your exercise. You're doing everything. Listen good. If you go to bed late consistently 2 weeks in a row, the blood sugar goes up. Saints, you didn't hear me. Your diet could be right. You could be drinking the right amount of water. You could be doing everything right except going to bed on time. If you go to bed late, listen to this, 2 weeks in a row, consistently late, all of a sudden, blood sugar start creeping up on you. Okay? The blood sugar start creeping up. So you'll find that going to bed on time is a part of the program. Am I making sense there? In order to be an overcomer, you have to get to bed on time, 7 days a week, no exceptions. They found that shift workers are at the highest risk of coming down with heart disease. What type of herbal agents would I recommend? I recommend you consider using garlic tablets. Garlic tablets works amazingly well. As long as you're not on any type of aspirin or additional blood thinning medication, garlic tablets work amazingly for you. You can actually use the fresh clove of garlic. You can actually take the whole bulb, put it in the oven, bake it for 15 minutes in the shell and everything, and then you just take 4 sprigs at every meal, and that will work amazingly for you. Flaxseed, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, freshly grounded. It has the omega-3, omega-6, omega-9 fatty acid. It does help with brain function, help with arterial wall functions too. Pumpkin seed actually helps to cause the blood vessels to relax. Pumpkin seed reduces inflammation in the body. lowers blood pressure, lowers cholesterol. Absolutely amazing. These are my workmen whenever I deal with diabetes. These are my two favorite workmen, Gymnema sylvestri. I would recommend that one would consider using Gymnema sylvestri. That actually helps to bring down blood sugar level. Now, it is a herb. And I use something called chromium. Chromium actually helps me to fix the liver. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but do you know that whenever you find that your sugar level keep dropping and stuff like that, do you know who is the culprit in that situation? It's the liver. Okay? It's the liver. Anytime you find that the sugar level is too high, it's like it's going too high or dropping on you, the liver is partly to blame. Because what the liver does, the liver is actually who? Spill the sugar into the bloodstream. You know, like when you don't eat, when you fast, how does your body still maintain proper energy or proper sugar level? The stored sugar in the form of glycogen in the liver or even in the muscle is what is at that time spilled out into the bloodstream. So the liver plays a major role in diabetes care. So it's important that you have a healthy liver at all times. And that's why we recommend that you make sure that the liver is clean and the liver is functioning properly. There's something called the dawn phenomenon, where you have individuals where the sugar level would be normal, and then out of the clear blue sky, it goes extremely low. Out of the clear blue sky, it goes extremely high. And it just back in the days, they used to call it brittle diabetics. Today, they use a word called dawn phenomenon, and it just goes from one extreme to another, just consistently, back and forth. You know what I do to correct that? I use chromium. Within about 2 to 3 days, I get that completely stabilized with ease. All those extreme swings get stabilized by resetting the liver, okay? And we use chromium to do that. Okay, you can use a few simple herbs if you're looking for teas, herbal teas, like dandelion. Dandelion is excellent. Hibiscus is excellent. Christmas bush, bay leaf, those are all excellent in terms of maintaining proper blood sugar. All diabetics should actually make sure that they're taking some level of B vitamins, especially B12, making sure that B12 is included. Because one of the things I want you to know is that after using metformin for more than 7.5 months, it will cause you to become deficient in vitamin B12. And that's why diabetics tend to have a lot of nerve issue, a lot of memory issue, and that's why 60% of diabetics will eventually lose their mind if they don't correct the diabetes, because the oral medication, specifically metformin and its derivative, causes B12 deficiency anemia that will cause you to have memory and nerve-related issues. You know what I find here in the UK? Every one of you that are here in the UK are chronic vitamin D deficient. Chronic vitamin D deficiency causes all forms of diabetes. Type 1, type 1.5, type 2, type 3. It causes all of the above. You want to make sure that as a diabetic, you get adequate level of sunlight when the sun is present. Even when the sun is not present, you want to make sure that you go out and at least get some of the sunlight. It will help your body to keep time. It will not be able to help in terms of vitamin D, but it will help you keep time around this time of the year. And then what you can do is take a supplemental vitamin D and you'll get the result. As a matter of fact, I'll close with this testimony here. I shared with you guys, there's a young lady that her niece put her in a nursing home and went away on vacation for 1 week. When the lady came back, her grandmother, her aunt stopped walking in 1 week, wasn't walking. So she came to me and she says, you know, James, is there any advice you have for me? And then when she mentioned that her aunt was in the 90s, I says, okay, it's very likely that she's chronic vitamin D deficient. I went ahead and I recommend a specific vitamin D, and you got to remember that vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. Fat-soluble means that in order for it to be absorbed, it requires what? It requires fat. Okay? Some of you guys are just taking these vitamin D tablets, doesn't have any fat, so guess what? It doesn't absorb properly. So in order for vitamin D to be absorbed, it needs its supporters. It needs its facilitators, which include fats. Okay? And if you go ahead and add something to it called K2, it works even amazingly. But here's the situation. If you're on if your doctor prescribed like aspirin and things like that to keep the blood thin, then you cannot use the K2. Just the plain vitamin D and its fats like olive oil and so forth would work properly for you. Gave the aunt the vitamin D supplement and says, listen to this, in less than 1 week, the aunt who was bedridden, had to be taken care of with like Pampers and stuff like that. In less than 1 week, she began turning. At the end of 1 week, she began walking again. Okay? Some of you guys, all of a sudden, you see you start bending over, you know. You see you have all these pain when you try to get up, when you try to move. Some of you are walking with cane. Some of you are very feeble, like you want to fall over. I want to tell you, the primary cause of that is lack of adequate level of vitamin D in your body. You take yourself a nice vitamin D supplement, and we'll give you the proper doses you should take. You go and follow the instructions, share with your GP what you're doing, and you sit back and watch the glory of God. You'll be amazed to see how well it works. So make sure you get adequate level of that. And I'll close on this final slide. What should I do if my blood sugar level is dropping? What should I do? Very simple. Now, saints, here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do for me. It was so important that I take my time at the end that I've gone overboard with my time. Are you guys going to give the elder just a little extra that he can clear things up for you? Amen? So I needed to take a little extra. So the little extra I take, I'm going to ask you guys to give it back to me at the end. Listen to this. If at night or in the morning your blood sugar level drop on you, do me a favor. If somebody's close by, take that 80, divide it by 18 for me real quick. Take that 80, use a calculator, divide it by 18. Let me translate it for you in your numbers. Divide it by 18 for me. Okay, let me give you the exact number. I need the exact number. 4.44. Saints, listen to this. If you're diabetic and you're on medication and you find that your blood sugar level is at 4.44 before you go to bed, I recommend that you eat some fruits before you go to bed. Because what's going to happen? About 1, 2 in the morning, your sugar is going to bottom out in you. Are you with me so far? Okay? If when you first wake up, before you do your walk, and you see you have that number, that 4.44, you just go ahead and eat some fruits before you start walking, because by the time you take a few steps, you're bottoming out. Am I making sense to you? Now, once you reverse the diabetes, these numbers are irrelevant because those are normal numbers. But as long as diabetes is still a real issue with you, you just got to follow the caution. And once you're off the medication and so forth, the body's going to start helping itself out. The liver is going to start spilling, and you'll be fine. I'll close with this final statement. Saints, as you start going on this, as you start following the program, you're going to find that your blood sugar start coming down nice. It's going to come down so fast, you're going to be like so excited. But then here's what's going to happen to some of you guys, especially when you start taking that chromium. You're going to go to sleep with like let's say you go to sleep with maybe a 90. Nice, you know what I mean? Nice, decent number. And then you wake up, you find that you're about a 120, 130. Some of you are going to be concerned, but I'm here to tell you, be not concerned. That's good news. You want to know why it's good news? Here's why. It lets me know that the liver is now beginning to do its work. See, because what happened, when a diabetic fasts, normally their sugar drops so low they go into a coma. But the fact that you can fast, go to sleep with one number, and you wake up and it's a little higher, it lets you know that your liver is beginning to put sugar back in the bloodstream again. Am I making sense to you? Okay, which is a good thing, because what that means, you don't have to worry about going into a coma while you're sleeping. Am I making sense to you? Because if the liver is not spilling the sugar into the bloodstream while you're sleeping, your blood sugar just drop, and you end up in a coma. The fact that you went to sleep with a 90, come up with a 130, it's a good thing, because now you know it's beginning to do its work. It's just that it's shooting, but it's not properly focused yet. After a while, it will be able to shoot with accuracy. Are we making sense there? Saints, let me ask you, was the information helpful tonight? Was it clear? Okay, we do have handouts. I know we gave some out already for individuals, but if you did not get the handout, make sure at the end you get the handout. Tomorrow, we're going to start off with hypertension, and I also want to start off with vitamin D. I want to share with you guys the importance of walking in the light. Amen? Whatever you do, don't miss our first lecture that we're going to open with. We're going to open up with about the vitamin D, transition to hypertension, and then I want to go to something called leaky gut. I want to talk about healing and sealing the gut, why some of you are dealing with some of the ailments that you're dealing with today. Amen? So let me introduce you to my friend. Elder Weaver, come and say hi to God's children here for me. And saints, I want you guys to work with me this evening. I had to take a little extra time to make sure I give you the detail for the healing because I didn't want any accidents. Amen?